Apparently the chat just went dead. What the heck?
Huh?
Chat just died for a second. Hang on a second. Refreshing chat. Yep. The first chat died mysteriously. What the heck happened?
Spinning.
Yep, that was the first. The first one is gone. What the heck? Give me 1 second, folks. Oh boy. Welcome back again, folks. That was a bit of a blunder, so I'll speed this video up. I'm Kaiju K. This is Necro Nick. That's Juggernaut Jared. KMOG. I'm Trish, who's just in the chat for the moment. And we're talking about Warhammer naval units. Surprise factor is these guys have no idea what their naval units are this time. I was able to design them for them, and I will now speak about them. Juggernaut Jared is, of course, the watchers and the keepers of Chronos, aka Time, who specialize in stopping mass horrible things from happening, big events in the universe. They missed one. They're not going to miss another one. So, Juggernaut decided that he wanted all of his vehicles to be based off of signs of the moon, which I think is a cool idea. So I will begin reading off his units, starting with his mighty battleship. And we will kind of go down there. Some of us have multiple battleships, some of us don't, some of us have multiple attack crafts. Once again, these are just base models. There's different weapon configurations for all of them. So here we go. So first off, we have the Chronos Keeper Full Moon. This is Woody Juggernaut's favorite battleship. In a flash of bright light, this massive battleship arises, a celestial warship with a magnificent castle upon it. The full moon is a grand weapon of war, armored with multiple solar array batteries and railgun batteries. What lands this weapon of war is its phasing ability, capable of instantly teleporting the ship from one location to another. When it appears, there's a great flash of blinding light, followed by a psionic shockwave that pushes back all within its location. Rumor has it the full moon can even target locations around it to teleport both friend and foe to another location, throwing them into complete disarray. So this is a very large ship that teleports, and when it does, it creates a sonic shockwave that pushes everything away so it doesn't damage them. And it does have the ability to teleport other groups around if it chooses to. Then we have Chronos Keeper New Moon, his cruiser. The New Moon cruiser isn't armed conventionally. Instead, it houses countless cybernetic modules inside a small casket-lined cube rooms. These individuals are kept alive through nutritious fluids and kept sane with songs for prayer. The ship uses its living battery to power its shields, repair its damage, and of course attack, using combined psionics it houses. This can be used in many ways, from creating psionic explosions, firing beams of psionic energy, or flooding enemy ships with prayer, weakening those within. Woe be it to those who get within the shields, as the unstable psionic fields have been known to release negative psychic motions into the area around the ship. So basically, if you happen to penetrate its shields, you're in for a world of hurt, as the negative psionics are kept outside the shields. He's only got 2 minutes left. Hopefully he's done soon. The Chronos Keeper Waxing Moon. Wax on, wax off.
Ooh, Mr. Yagi.
Phasing around the areas that are influenced by the Chronos Keeper, the Waxing Moon is a strange, albeit curiously designed vessel, completely controlled by AI and flung with a strange multi-phase warp engine. The escort looks like a, well, giant golf ball. However, this is where many find their end, as the Waxing Moon's dimples are hiding a terrifying secret. Besides the magnetic shields, its modular weapon batteries shift to any direction, facing whatever direction it requires. This allows the Waxing Moon to not only be able to face any direction, but fire as well. Whether it chooses phase-locked turbo lasers, photon rockets, or perhaps even solar batteries, it is never positioned more correctly. So basically, with this ship, it's AI-controlled, and no matter which way you come on it, it can just shift its weapons to those directions. So it always has you in its sights. You're never outside of its firing range. Also, wax on, wax off. Okay, then we're going to get on to the next one. So these are the attack crafts. These are the smaller models. what you see of the strange vessel is probably already too late. The Crescent Moon is a pure stealth ship armed with a single large, powerful photonic railgun cannon, advanced stealth technology, and confusing holograph tech, and a penchant for punching holes in whatever it targets. They appear as a thin crescent ship on their side, but rest assured that if you can spot one, there is no telling how many of them you haven't seen that have already spotted your vessel. So in short, it's a curved moon
Swarmers.
on its side.
Swarmers.
What was that?
Swarmers.
No. It's more like snipers.
Ah, okay.
They put a big chunk in you, but if you can see one, that's probably the bad news, because if you can see one, there's no telling how many of them have positioned around you and have you walked into their firing position. These things have been known to create holograms of themselves, so people have mistakenly seen them, but they're not there. The holograms are so realistic that it's actually been seen to have engine fluctuations and shielding around it, even though it doesn't. So it's actually fooled radars before. Pretty nasty ship to attack. And of course, the waning moon. Now this is one I'm quite proud of. So the waning moon, a diamond-shaped AI drone ship. The waning moon battles their enemies not with might, but with numbers. Once within range, the ship's doors will reveal a constant stream of solar-armed drones with a similar design that rush forward at their targets, lighting them up with blasts of solar energy. Have a joke? Lighting them up with solar energy.
Mm-hmm.
When damaged, however,
I see the sun.
When these are damaged, however, the drones will fly full speed into enemy ships, crashing into them and begin overloading their systems until detonation. To be fair, the larger waning moon is also armed with larger forms of both these abilities, so try not to get too close. We're going to skip those three for a moment, and we're going to go with the sickle moon. A strange craft by name alone, some would say. The sickle moons are ships piloted by Kronos angels to aid their brethren in combat. Larger than most attack crafts, these fast-moving ships are armed with multiple magnetic shielding units, amazing long-range communication arrays, solar lance cannons, and worst of all, drone creation ports. They enter battle singing hymns to their allies or curses to their enemies, while they fire their long-range artillery at enemy clusters. Their drones, however, make them a true threat, capable of repairing, shielding, and even defending the Angels' allies and even themselves. Lunar Eclipse. You're going to like this one, Jug. I'm pretty sure you're going to like this one. Okay. Looking to be the heads of Crusader-class walkers, the Lunar Eclipses are rare units with the ability to fire time-slowing blasts from their main cannon that can paralyze targets for destruction or capture. Capturing units is what it specializes in. Known as the savior of space, they will often fire their beams on enemy civilians that have been blown out of their ships and use their 4 massive tendrils to grab them and shuck them off to safety. Not only are these tendrils delicate enough to grab civilians and not cause harm to them, but can create photonic blades that can strike enemies units in range. I got this idea from Castlevania. Well, your Crusaders are massive Medusa-like creatures, so I figure that the Lunar Eclipses are just giant versions of their heads. But what really gets me about them is that their tentacles are delicate enough to grab a person in space and shuck them off to safety, and is powerful enough to crush another ship or form a blade that can cut through anything. Okay, now most of those ships are either piloted by angels or piloted by AI, except for 3. These last 3 are very powerful. They are called the Red Luna, the Blue Luna, and the Yellow Luna. And by the way, there are a lot more other Lunas. I just put these 3 down. Red Luna. Strange in both design and purpose, the Red Luna is a simple ship shaped like a dagger, with bright red highlights flashing and glowing in different patterns. Armed with solar ray cannons, this ship seems to be a simple attacker at first, until you feel it. This strange, red-hot anger burns in your soul. Suddenly you throw caution to the wind and charge in, weapons blazing, and then you're struck down by a foe you didn't see. Years of study have allowed the Kronos keepers to know just how finely tuned the enemy mind truly is, and how to make it stop throwing defense to the wind, or start throwing defense to the wind rather than be protective of itself. These ships are piloted by cybernetic module pilots who use their psionic abilities to rend into the ships a form of focused rage. Drive all aboard hot red. Fist fights can start out, yelling matches, cheating, stealing, or worse, throwing caution to the wind and moving from a specially designed position to sit for safety right into the middle of a cluster to shoot one down. Blue Luna. Similar to the Red Luna, the Blue Luna is more horseshoe-shaped, with a rapid-firing photonic energy cannon as its main weapon. However, it too is piloted with several cybernetic module pilots, and its power is equally deadly. Instead of anger, it fills the minds of targets with doubt, sorrow, and loneliness. The ships are suddenly filled with ill regret, pilots that miss their families, those who have loved ones and lost. As it maintains its hold on the enemy's psychers find themselves unable to focus. Enemy gunners lose the ability to aim properly, and the very core of the ship begins to lose power. In short, the enemy vessel becomes a sitting duck and soon is no more. And finally, the Yellow Luna. Final of this trio, the Yellow Luna variant is known for its ability to slice through enemy units with its phase scythe weaponry, the constant beam of phasonic energy, like a scalpel that drags through the enemy vessels. This, combined with its pilot's strength and penchant for fear, makes for a deadly opponent. This vessel looks like a circular warp of barbed wire. However, it influences its prey with power and energy to cause those within to be besieged by fear. They suddenly hear strange sounds and noises from the ship, creaking, groaning as if the ship is falling very apart. They hear voices, words, songs, music that drive them insane. They see things that aren't there, perhaps a crack in the hull or a leaking fuel vent. Some have even claimed that they've seen emergency warnings claiming to abandon ship. Some have relived traumatic experiences. Some phobias have risen to points where they have even cut their own legs to save themselves from the attacking spiders. It causes them to see their fellow pilots as untrustworthy. And then the enemies begin to fall ever further, ever increasing waves that play out the psyche and warp the minds of them being afraid of everything, leading to infighting, surrender, or even death. The story of the three Luna ships, and there's multiple types, by the way, purple Lunas, etc. Hi, everybody. Hello, Jug, my bud, says Michelle with one L. Hello, Sirloin. So basically, the red, blue, and yellow Lunas are ships that were specialized over years of them studying to know how the mind works. So they fight with weapons, but they also fight by screwing with you. So be mighty careful with Jug's fighters, because if you're psionically gifted, you could end up killing everybody aboard your ship. So, Jug, how do you feel about your naval units?
Oh, I absolutely love them.
Okay. So, next up, we have the mighty Necro Nick. Now, for those of you who have not been watching lately, or have, Necro Nick started off as just a guy who controlled undead, and became the Demon Prince of Undeath, who is being controlled by one of the Demon Lords, or I guess Demon God would be a better term for it, is Zeech. His original idea was to just flood the universe with the dead, but he has since then warped once more into far-reaching, even more terrifying plans. At first, I was just going to give him a bunch of dead ships, but something seemed different about that. Necro has come a long distance. As such, I give you the ships of the Demon Prince of the Undead. And we'll start this off with his massive battleship, the Space Hulk Leviathan. The mighty Leviathan is a massive vessel, perhaps the largest to ever be created. Leviathan is Prince Necro's main flagship, base of operations, and personal warship. It is armed with multiple Chaos laser arrays, Chaos Hydra launchers, and Necros Pox torpedoes. However, its truest, finest weapons comes from its connection with the fabled Dark Star. What keeps all the ships connected in time and space also connects to this massive vessel. When push comes to shove, Neck will fire his main cannon, laser storing energy of the Dark Star. The spread of black miasma engulfing anything in range. Those caught in its blast find themselves being assaulted by the darkest of energies, the ultimate plague. It literally separates souls and bodies. Machine spirits are rendered useless, as are their embedded machines. Cruiser, the Necros Cyber Chimera. You'll notice that Juggernaut had based on lunar moon phases, and Necro has based off of mythical creatures. Some of them are pretty stupid sounding, but they get fun. The Necros Cyber Chimera is a large combat vessel. The Chimera class closes the gap with its targets with speed, unleashing a massive barrage of Chaos Hydra missiles filled with his favorite Chaos Hydra's venom. They can swiftly melt through the hulls of enemy vessels before they succumb to space, the acid, or their fellow crewmates being warped into nightmarish zombies. The true terror that comes with the Necros Cyber Chimera is its ability to phase in and out of reality. Upon being targeted with weapons or laser rays, the Necros Cyber Hydra, I put down Chaos Hydra by accident, has the ability to literally warp itself out of existence before bringing itself to bear arms on other foes moments later. The Escort, the Necros stalking Chupacabra! The Chupacabra! Or the Goat Sucker. This oddly named ship, Chupacabra, is a mid-weight escort and a living nightmare. Armed with chaos-enriched laser battery, firing rapid blasts of chaotic energy at an enemy ship, leaving behind small portals for his disease to creep into the enemy vessel and for his own units to come aboard. In the core of the ship, however, lurks a strange psyker relic Necros has mass-produced. With the help of the Dark Star, the ship possesses a terrifying aura that, within range, begins to drain the enemy craft of armor and its very life force, corrupting and warping them into repairing itself, or perhaps even creating Chupacabra drones, even more dangerous small vampiric drones.
Nice.
And we'll skip the next couple because they're not important. I mean, they are important, but they'll be important for the last part again. The Necros Manticore. So this one right now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, this one caused me a lot of trouble to think of how to make it work, and I was finally able to make it work. It's hard to spot due to its coloring. The Manticore class attack vessel is what many call a prickly ship. Armed with Pox and Chaos Hydra missiles, the seemingly spine ship has more sinister weapons on board, as the spiked armor isn't just for show. And within range of a large enough ship, the Manticore will slam into the vessel before releasing a fungal swarm onto the enemy ship. These fungal creatures quickly spread throughout the vessel until finally its reactor, where the seed of Necros is then planted. And over time, they infect the ship, bringing a Thing-class ship of that type. So what a Thing-class vessel is a vessel that looks identical to the original ship, except, of course, if you were to look inside, you'd see that it wasn't. And on closer inspection, you notice that the armor has been scaled over and is repairing itself at a quick rate. In short, Necro's way of creating zombie ships. The Necros Gargoyle. The Gargoyle is a strange but well-deserved name for this asteroid-mimicking ship. The asteroid itself that they inhabit messes with enemy radar, thus, unless looked upon with actual vision, these slow-moving vessels will get within range before firing a barrage of chaos-heated turbo lasers at the target. After these warping blasts have struck, the Gargoyle jets off into the asteroids to hide once more. Many have begun firing on all asteroids out of fear, but the truth is, even when found out, the combination of its living metal armored hulls and turbo lasers leave many foes struck in awe once the rocky exteriors are removed and their speed seemingly is multiplied. Now, when you hear the term Necros Zombie, what kind of ship do you expect?
Ooh.
A dying ship? No.
Perhaps a slow ship?
Yeah.
Strange ships are the bread and butter of the Prince of Death, but the zombie attacker, those are a different story altogether. These vessels seem ill-named. Zombie ships attack at a rapid pace, launching barrages of chaotically powered missiles into the enemy vessel, then scattering before coming again. The secret to their power is the pox missiles that transfer their virus aboard ships, and their strange habit. If damaged, a zombie attack vessel will crash into an enemy ship and detonate the remaining payload for maximum spread. It is said that these ships are the first to arrive when attacking a planet, and often bombard the planet with their pox missiles before leaving. Now, for the bread and butter of Necros, I give you his last 4 Navy vessels. Necro Banshee. The Banshee is an unusual ship that attacks the targeted vessel with chaotic walkers, psionically ghost-like devils that invade the enemy ship and attempt to kill as many as possible, so that the virus psychically spread from them can cause those who die to stand up and continue the battle. Terrifying is just one way to describe this ship that attaches themselves to the enemy vessel and it cuts into it to allow the payload to go to town. So basically it flies up, attaches, zips a hole in, and then floods the entire ship. The Necros Succubus. Ship Feasters is one way to call out these stealthy Succubus-class ship. Once in range, its aura begins to rip and tear the enemy vessels, burning the collected scrap into chaotic fuel to repair its or to fire a terrifying Matrisa cannon. The special cannon fires a mind-warping blast that causes enemy vessels struck to be without power temporarily, leading towards many more terrifying vessels to take up the slack. So in short, they go in, cause havoc, drain as much as they can, and then open fire with their main cannon, which kind of shuts down the enemy ship, allowing the others to come in. Necros Incubus. Unlike the Emposa, the Incubus class attack vessel attacks the minds of their target ships, laying ruinous thoughts, nightmares, belief in failing, and much more devastating enemy psychos. The true power comes with the ability to feed directly on machine spirits of the enemy vessel, leaving many ships empty and unable to operate, waiting for the end. You thought those were scary. The Necros Empusa. And by the way, Empusa is a word. It's a type of incubus/succubus from, I believe it's Indian religion. However, let me tell you something. This ship is very different.
Heck is that noise?
I do not know. So, the extra Empusa class vessel attacks not with weapons, but instead subdues enemy vessels. These stealthy ships dull the minds of those on board, even causing pleasures and jovialities, while other vessels like the Banshee board and possess the vessel with ease. It is said that they often target crews that have been out in space for ages, and seen as a less violent of the Dark Princess vessels, often helping those it attacks rather than harming them. Many believe that Slanesh may be involved in this, as a way of her fighting back against the Dark Prince. So it's a ship designed to attack by lulling a person into a more pacified state, a more lackadaisical state, perhaps even putting them to sleep, while Necro goes, boards them, takes them over, zombie virus, etc. Except there's something wrong with these ships. They seem to be having a mind of their own, and seem to target civilian vessels where there are no other attackers within range, and basically fill them with happiness and joy for a little while. Kind of like they're feeding off the stress. Who's responsible for this? Well, you want to find out? You're gonna have to vote this up. I want to see 30 votes, and I'll give you some hint on who could have something to do with it. So Necro, your space vessels. What are your feelings on them? Thoughts, feelings, commotions, notions.
I love them.
All right, 1 sec. We're gonna go brown for a second. Maybe, possibly. Nope, we're still good. Okay. I'm going to put this in real quick. So this is just another link. I'm going to pin this to the top. And I believe that's the same link, Juggernaut, isn't it?
Yes.
And I will also pin yours. No, I can't pin it. Okay, well, it's there. All right. Now, from Necro's mind control and warping technology to Juggernauts, I'm going to turn you into a pile of slaughtering crap weaponry. We have to move on to the next Navy, man, so let's all salute Space Force Sultan. and bring up TMOG.
Ooh, hello.
Hey, how you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm good. Just ignore me. I'm just a little man making his way through the galaxy.
Oh, buddy, trust me.
Don't-
My vessels I spent like an hour working on them. I spent like 3.5 on Juggernauts, another 2.5 on Necros. So like mine are bare bones basic, so don't feel bad, man.
Very, very well then. With humble ado, I shall continue. Story time.
Story
Little
time!
mini story time.
Mini story time.
For to lighten the mood because all other vessels have been undoubtedly horrifying.
Necros vessels do tend to bring the mood down a few degrees from Sutney to please turn the light on, I'm scared, Daddy. Yes, so please
Yes.
lighten the mood, my friend. Feel free.
So, Earl Grey is our Grand Inquisitor.
Wait. Lighten the mood, and then you bring up Earl Grey. Oh my goodness gracious, that is a slap in the face right there. Please continue, sir.
Tis not, my fine friend, tis not. So, Earl Grey towers to the custodians by 2 feet. A man that size would just crush anything in his path. But
Custodians are pretty big
the
people.
man has a whimsical side of him. So while disguised, he proceeds to go to a trading planet and search for some new tea or information, or just to get away from, water torture,
His
Anyhow.
favorite pastimes, water torturing, beatings, etc.
Yeah. So the man proceeds to disguise himself with the comical, what he thought was ingenious, newspaper with 2 eyes cut out, and to wear a funny eyeglasses and a fake nose. While on, yes, Astartes looking at Daddy like, "Ooh, I'm not supposed to be here. Ignore me, good sir. On your way." Well, he came across a deacon. A deacon is a member of the ecclesiarchy. They're one step below a bishop. They began discussing holy scriptures.
Okay.
Because the ecclesiarchy are, they live and thrive off holy scriptures.
Right.
And everyone being, following the scripture. If you don't, then you're heretic. If you're heretic, in any of the imperial man's worlds, you die.
Yep.
Earl Grey is not of this world or dimension. He's from somewhere else. So listening to holy scriptures is not. He enjoys it, but he doesn't fervently pray and read them. So finally, the Earl Grey asked the deacon, "Can you traverse space in a wooden boat by faith and prayers alone? Or can you traverse space by the aid of an engine and a machine spirit in a wooden boat?" So the deacon says, "I can ask you a question. I faithfully believe that one can traverse the space by prayers and faith alone." So Earl Grey, looking down upon the man, bent down and said, "Very well, sir." Then proceeded to pick up a fishbowl, put it on the deacon's head, said, "For in space you need oxygen, so here's your helmet." Gave him a what else did he give him? A space blanket, onesie, so put him on so he doesn't get cold. And then a cape, because you need sail, you need wind in space. The man sat down in the wooden boat with his wooden oars and said, "You must row yourself." Gave him his holy book, and he sat down. Earl Grey looked at him and said, "What do you wish? And I shall try to grant it." And the deacon looked at him and said, "I wish to be a bishop over a large trading world and to spread the good word of the Holy Scriptures. So Urgar said, very well then, off you go. If you can, by prayers and faith alone, row to the next trading world, you'll become the bishop there. So with that, in a very swift motion, Earl Grey launched him towards the moon. Some say this man is still rowing towards the trading world. Others say they passed by that moon and saw a new crater. There you go.
Wonderful
done.
news. Yes, bring us way up in that scale.
So I got 2 more quotes, and then I'll start my thing on Bobber. I do apologize,
Okay.
but so this is a quote from a very renowned tech priest, and he was disgruntled at the time, and someone quoted him. He was looking at the damaged vessels in the loading dock, in the dry dock, and he was questioning another tech priest. And he said, did someone say to fire all the rounds until complete and then turn it to an expensive battering ram? Heavens above, do they not know how expensive and time consuming it takes us to rebuild these ships and men's resources? But alas, I shall not say these words in front of an inquisitor. Come to find out, they really don't like when they do that.
Oh, they do not. They do not like whenever you question anything. That's the space pope. I mean, sorry, space emperor. As people.
So, in the Royal Marines, they have a motto. The motto is very simple. It is, over loudspeaker, what is your duty? Response is, to serve our Lord's will. What is your Lord's will? That we bring his judgment. That is our duty. And now to my ships. So,
Well,
I'm going to have...
I've heard that one said several times, like, laid freaking turbo lasers on the ships. I mean, hey, how are you guys doing?
Good and dandy, sir. So, oh, Lord, what was that?
That's coming from Necrozan.
Huh.
So,
I'm talking on my computer. Sorry, guys.
It's quite all right.
He's so bored. He's playing video games instead of being part of the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I boring you?
No, I am not. No, I'm literally on my browser.
I'm joking, guys. I'm joking.
Same.
Okay.
All right, my first ship is a light cruiser. It's called the Jackal. It's a Dauntless class cruiser. Armaments are going to be a 16 12-inch turbocharged batteries, similar to like macro batteries.
Quick interjection. God damn it! Now, since he mentioned Dauntless, god damn, I missed that game.
It's a fun game.
That's a fun game, actually.
Hey, keep going. 12-inch.
It's gonna have 4 copperhead torpedo tubes.
Nice.
So with copperheads, when they're launched from the reason why they're called copperhead torpedoes, because when the torpedoes are launched, generally they fire in a straight line, which a good chunk of torpedoes do. You have the ability to shoot them before either maneuver your ship out of the way of the torpedoes or shoot them. Because they have a copper head, the first blast would bounce off. So you got to penetrate the armor before it hits you. So it's going to have underneath the ship and above it quad-mounted ion pinpoint cannons. These are deadly, especially in space, with helps against like shields and stuff like that, and just punching through, like knocking out other cannons and radar dishes. My second light cruiser is called the Hornet. It is a Spectral class cruiser. Armament is going to be a tech bending projector. So, and a communications jammer. So with a tech bending projector, basically, when you're looking on your radar from like Necro ship, or right now just Necro ship, make it simple, sick. He's looking at his radar, and on his radar he picks up me. With my tech bending projector, it's gonna look, instead of like 2 ships or 4, it's gonna look like 10.
Oh,
So it's similar to an astral projection, but basically it's gonna affect your radar. So you're gonna have to use visual if you choose to do so, unless you want to try to shoot like 10 other or however many it needs to project.
okay.
There's 4 out there. Wait, there's 10. There's 4.
Yeah.
There's 4.
Captain,
Yeah.
I only see 1. It says there's 33. Open fire. Why is it, sir? There's just 1. You're not even firing at it. It's over there. You missed. It's firing at us now.
Then I'm gonna have the standard communication jammer. So, if ships are close together, communication. If my ship is the Hornet is attacking one of your ships, be a light cruiser, or any one of your ships, your communication is gonna be non-existent until you got my ship out of the way, like blasting it or somehow diverting it away from that ship. Communication between your battle plans and stuff like that is be non-existent. So, and then it's gonna have warp changing coordinates and a radar bobber and a spirit machine muter. So with warp changing coordinates, so all ships, undead or not, robotic or not, have to go through the warp to an extent. But in order to go through, you generally have to punch in coordinates. You just can't just jump the warp like, okay, I want to go to Mars.
Right.
Well, you got to punch in the coordinates and try to get there. You have to be very, very accurate. If you like miscoordinated by like 1 decibel, you're completely different solar system.
It might show up inside of a meteor or something, you know.
Yeah.
Right in front of a
So
comet. Oh crap!
That's why you have shields.
Sideways!
Unless you hit it like a moon or something, then I don't know. Depends on your ship how big it is.
In Soviet
with the warp
orc space, moon hits you.
True.
Keep going, Ed.
I gotta love orcs.
Yeah, I love orcs.
I think my next army might be orcs. But all right, getting sidetracked. Sorry, I do apologize. With the warp changing coordinates, once your shields are down, the Hornet will launch basically pylons onto your ship. They're gonna be they're gonna be small. I mean, still sim, but they're small.
Right.
And if you were to fan retreat or hop back into the warp to go to a different dimension, or just like, hey, too much, you gotta get more guys. It will change the coordinates. So you're gonna enter the warp and they come right back in to the battlefield in the middle of the battlefield. Or
that's just mean. That's just mean.
Reports have been stated that a battle cruiser had been affected by the warp changing coordinates. Opened a warp portal, went into it, and then smushed like a pancake. Yeah.
Well, gonna avoid that like a freaking plague of necros.
So, and then I have the radar bobber. The radar bobber is just going to be a floating radar station above my ship.
Okay.
And again, that's just going to have another effect on your radar technologies.
Okay.
Radar on radar. So the only defense, or one of the defensive things that I have for my Hornet is a machine spirit muter. So if I want to sneak up to your ship, because I am a spectral class cruiser, so I don't want to engage you completely. I want to get as close as I can to you and then cause chaos. Ha ha ha. So with the machine spirit muters on the belly of my ship, basically, if I have all my systems shut down, so I'm just floating through space, machine spirit is still active. So some ships have the ability to detect machine spirits.
This just prevents
a massive ship. Yeah.
Cool.
So this helps like quiet it down. So your massive like battleship or whatever large ship you have, can float right past it. If it's not fully like detecting everything,
Mhm.
it's gonna float right past it, and then get right behind you, and then boom.
Okay, that's
And then
pretty dirty.
I'm gonna have on the starboard and port side,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have 8 9-inch rail guns.
Ooh.
I got that from the trading with the Tau, actually,
Ah,
believe it or not. And then 6 swivel torpedo tubes. Now,
okay.
torpedo tubes are generally fixed in place on ships. You can be stern facing or port or starboard side facing.
Uh-huh.
These swivel so they're directional
So you
if
just
need
aim
be.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then I'm going down to my battle cruisers.
Okay.
They're sub up. So these are gonna like take the fight. You're gonna keep the enemy engaged for a little bit. The first one is called Dawn Strike. It's a Crucifixus class battle cruiser. That's the largest cruiser we have that is
Okay.
known to our on the planet of Khan. That's the class we have. I do apologize. A little tongue tied. It surpasses an Overlord class by 2. So the Overlord class battle cruiser is the largest battle cruiser that the Astra Militarum uses. This surpasses it by 2. So like imagine 2 of them mushed together, that size. Armaments are going to be 20 micro batteries on both starboard and port side, 6 heavy hammerhead torpedo launchers, 4 lance cannons, and a bow-mounted spectral spear. So the hammerhead torpedoes launchers. Imagine a hammerhead shark. Just to take the head and imagine each part of the head. So the 3 on 3 are torpedoes. So it feels basically a volley of or torpedoes going towards you.
Moment.
And the bow. I realize I've become too meta. Too much talking from K-Man. Oh no.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how railguns work in space.
Excuse me?
I'm just trying to figure out how railguns work in space.
It's if it's 40K, so magic.
Sorry about that.
If you don't, a good chunk of weapons, if they don't make sense in space or like any situation, just kind of chalk it up to either prayers or holy words and magic to make it work.
Yeah, actually, that's the main hue of Warhammer. Juggernaut's weapons are fired through particle accelerations and physics, and Necros are fired because of chaos energy, and K-Mods are fired because of magic.
Yeah, that's about it. Yep.
I always go back to the orcs. I always go back to the orcs and say, just take a look at the orcs and remember, they can turn a bottle rocket into a grenade. They can do anything. Just remember that. Warhammer doesn't have to make sense.
They can take a basically like a 12 gauge shotgun, paint it red, and then put it into like a completely broken down hole of like a cannon, and then boom, you've got like a Goliath.
So technically, if orcs ran our base in 7 days to die, it would be completely indestructible.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
To an extent, there is a drawback to that. You maybe run out of ammo. If you just keep saying bang bang bang, they will die.
Yes,
Because you believe you have solid bullets until they believe there's self a tank, and then it's kind of over. Until you pick up a log and say kaboom, then you have a missile launcher, and it just keeps going until one of you dies.
Just remember that in the world of 40K, physics does not work. Railguns work.
Yeah.
I can explain how railguns work because we have them in the real world. Don't explain to me how rockets can fire in space, though. I'm completely against the idea of the fact that they have nothing to heat them up. No, they just have a lot of
Think
fuel,
of,
I
like,
guess.
takes like like space battles of Star Wars and the space battles of Star Trek, and there you go. If you see rockets and missiles flying in space, it just
It just works.
I wish I had a very sophisticated answer to this, but basically it comes down to a boiling point: magic.
So what you're telling me is 40K falls in the wizard world of Harry Potter. Gotcha.
Necro, you literally have ships that can possess
Yeah.
other ships.
That's true.
Juggernaut, you literally have machines that can self-heal themselves through the power of prayer.
Talking about the power of prayer, I've got another one. It is called the Salvation of Cleansing Light. So a side note, I do a lot of this. I do apologize, people. A lot of sidetracks and side notes. A lot of these ships that I've gotten any names for was actually a 40K name generator for ships. I was absolutely amazing. Gotta check it out. If you ever want to build like a army and you can't think of a name for like a tank or a battalion or a ship, just go to the name generator. Should give you a complete like itinerary. Like pick if you want tank, plane, battalion.
So he's going away from the naming thing.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
They're controlled by the Space
it is-
Emperor. They're allowed to.
This is a
Space
chalice.
And the waterboarding ape, he's allowed to.
So this is a Chalice class battlecruiser. It was designed by the word bearers of our battle mother. Don't be confused with the word bearers, the Space Marines. Yes, they have similar names, but
Wait a minute.
these are
What's it called, and could you spell it?
my name of the by who made them or
What are you talking about now?
word bearer of our battle mother?
You said the Chouse?
Chalice.
Chouse.
CHALISE.
I heard you say Chouse.
Oh, I do
I
apologize.
didn't hear Chalice.
The
Chalice.
hell is that, Kyle?
What?
So, chalice is
Oh.
basically a ornate golden cup. In simple terms.
Ah.
Well, I know what a chalice is, but I didn't
Oh,
hear.
okay.
I heard something different.
Okay. This cruiser armament it has a built-in speaker that emits holy words and prayers that can pierce shields. And here's a real doozy, a doozy. If an undead soldier or space marine hears the holy words that have been uttered from the speaker, makes them turn on each other. So you have a slumbering like space marine, necro slumbering soldier, firing a las cannon or manning one of his guns. Hears the holy words. Whatever things in his area, he has a knife or butcher sword, or whatever he's equipped with, will turn right to his fellow soldiers and just start wailing at each other. So they'll kill themselves in chaos in his own ship.
I see how it is.
An anti-chaos / undead weapon, and he specifically has been using necro visuals.
Yeah. So the reason why it that happens is because they're not due to not being able to understand the holy words.
Okay.
Because they're undead, and then Anywho, and then if this ship is facing heretics or higher thinking entities, dun, it will scramble the brain due to a mix of corrupting binary code and warp twisting binding spells from Earl Grey's Book of Information Extracting.
So what you're
Hey,
saying
Jug,
is,
we're friends, right?
so
I
what you're
think
saying
we got an enemy.
is you have a weapon specifically designed to kill off Juggernaut as well.
Hey, Jug, I'm just saying, below me here. Yeah.
Keep going.
We
Keep
can
going.
talk about truces later.
Gotcha.
Don't touch my boats. Just don't touch my boats. It has four rail cannons on the port and starboard side, and then a wholly refractive light beam.
Okay.
There's 12 of them. So basically, it's just the sun slicing through stuff.
Like giant magnifying
12
glasses,
times.
It'd
basically.
be like if it sliced through, I don't know, my shield.
Enough time. You take a magnifying glass and put it against the paper in the broad daylight. Enough time, it'll catch fire.
Okay. So this is a fun little vessel. It's not specifically designed at all to kill certain members of this group so far. Please go on.
So next up is my battleships. So the next one up is called the Thunder Bear. This is a reverse Uno class battleship. Aha.
A reverse Uno class battleship.
Yes,
Please
sir.
do go on. I don't remember hearing about the classification of reverse Uno battleships.
This powder keg.
Wait, if I play another reverse, does it work against him?
I play skip.
Yeah, draw 4. Green, draw 4. Wait, please continue.
Reverse.
Please continue. Damn it.
So this powder keg is bringing a punch to remember. Armaments are 200 micro batteries on starboard and port side. 8 quad-mounted 44-inch ion pinpoint ion strikers on the port and starboard side. 40 hammerhead swivel torpedo tubes. 80 Nova cannons on the starboard and port side. 40 corkscrew torpedoes. So with the corkscrew torpedoes,
Is there room for people in there?
it's big.
He's bringing everything but including the kitchen sink.
It actually has a railgun that launches kitchen sinks at you. No, just don't. Just stop. Go.
I have a trebuchet on top, a wooden trebuchet that launches sinks. No, I'm kidding.
But if they're made of the same stuff as your
Thanks.
frying pans, they'll go right through my damn shields.
So the corkscrew torpedoes, yes, they go in a corkscrew fashion, but basically, what is this primary function of this torpedo is to, once your armor is weak enough, it'll just like drill. It's like a giant drill bit, and it'll mainly hit your shields.
Okay, but it'll
And
probably
just
do a lot
start
of damage.
drilling into the
won't it?
shields. That's the idea.
Okay.
And then another one. 2 ethereal buzzsaw launchers.
Oh, I don't like that.
So now it is it's bow mounted, so almost like a spear. So instead of ramming it, it's gonna launch ethereal spear buzzsaws.
I remember that.
That still sounds like
My next
don't want that being fired at me. No. No.
my next battleship is the dodecahedron of KP5. Is an adjudicator class battleship. Armaments on both starboard and port side have 40 macro batteries, 6 Nova cannons on both sides, 4 lance cannons, and 5 heavy hammerhead torpedo tubes, and 5 swivel torpedo tubes. Then I have a frigate. It's called the Feigned Retreat. It's a heavy Tempest frigate. It has a mindset of a light cruiser, cause why not?
Okay.
Lol.
Lol.
Armaments on both sides are 2 macro cannons, 20 heavy hammerhead torpedo tubes, 6 lance cannons, and 4 rail cannons.
A lot of punching power there.
So then I have a transport ship It's called the Vengeful Force. It's an Icano class shipboarder. Speed is key. When the enemy shields are down, this ship will send a mix of a squadron of Silver Knights, Razorbacks, Coxagors, Bears of Cayman, Boars, and Daughters of Cayman. And it has quad-mounted las batteries. So if a ship's dead in the water, and we want to wipe out whatever's inside or claim it for ourselves, we'll punch right through your ship, and then boom, we got a whole bunch of Space Marines in there, causing chaos.
Ooh, that sounds like a bad day.
So if you have like capital ships, this is what I'm gonna send a whole bunch of these out.
Right. You wouldn't
Get
crash these
capital
into an attack class ship. You'd attack these into a big old massive ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's coming. It is coming. I got 2 more left.
I'm waiting for it.
So, as everyone remembers, that a lot of my armies are depicted from animals and have very animalistic tendencies and stuff like that. And it's kind of wacky at the same time. Because everyone knows if you're part of TMOG, you got to be a little wacky and like, what's going on up there? Anywho, so here we go. This is Willie. Willie is a warp whale that kind of slips into our dimension. You guessed it, Earl Grey's back at it again. There are warp whales. There's
There are warp whales. They are massive.
Yeah, I know.
They have accidentally cracked capital ships by running into them. These are not small creatures. These are massive beings.
When Willie slips in, he bellows in a very proper tone, but it booms inside everybody's ears. Even the deaf can hear him speak. It's in your mind. Like a psyker speaking to you.
It just, so that was not effective,
any with a brain function can hear him.
Have
Even the
you
undead.
heard what he's wielding weapon-wise? Yeah, this one ship can't affect me. The 40 macro laser batteries, on the other hand, can cleave through ships. Oh, I'm perfectly innocent in this one. Oh yeah, he isn't aiming to kill me with one ship. No, he's going to kill me with every ship but one.
Well, I mean, for all of us too. It's just he specifically made one ship for 2 of us.
Yeah, I will admit he did.
No,
love on you guys.
You are speculating, and all these rumors and hearsay. Conjecture, good sir. I would never come and if you attacked one of my ships, just unload everything I ever have.
You know what the whale reminds me of?
Death?
That would be my daughter's. That'd be my daughter's fault there, Mr. Big Water.
Oh, yeah.
There was a little game named Art of War Red Tides, and you could get a massive freaking whale that fired missiles.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't fire. This one just doesn't fire missiles. It just kind of swims. That's a whale, Willie the whale. Free Willie! So, in a very proper tone of sound, and I quote, everyone has heard this. Did I not warn you that when drinks are served, you drink? Now I must send you to the timeout place. And there's a pause. Psych. Time to send you to the wacky warp zone. But before I do, all entities, dead, undead, here and not here, old gods and new, is waiting for you. It is said time and time again that all must stop fighting and join them. Then he plows into your ship, reports state that when he plows into your ship, it looks like he's plowing into your ship, but his great maw opens, and a bright light emits from his mouth, and then dust and darkness. Either he eats the ship whole, or rumor has it that from his maw, tentacles form around the ship and slowly drag it into someplace else. It very well could be one of the old god's realms, or more energy for him so he can find more food. When he appears in space, all ships, above all else, are ordered not to fire him, because we pray we never find out what happens when Willie wants to send our ships to the wacky warp zone. Thank you, Earl Grey.
Thank God I'm immune to that.
Yeah, he just likes doing stuff like
I
ships.
was waiting for it. I knew he was coming. I knew that ship was coming. So a message from Mr. Big Water. OMG, clean your guys' rooms.
So here's my capital ship, my very last ship. It's called Oblivion. You apologize. Oblivion hath no fury like a mother scorned. The ship's blueprints were found on the ship that was carrying our blessed battle mother before she became our battle mother. When our Lord had found her and saw the blueprints, he ascertained what she was planning to build. Once he agreed, he looked upon Earl Grey and asked him, by certain rituals and spells, Earl Grey was able to get his own family and help building this thing.
Wait, Earl Grey has a family?
Well, someone had to make Earl Grey.
Yeah, and someone had to create
And
Slanesh
Earl Grey-
too, and we know what happened with her.
Zeesh knows of Earl Grey. Zeesh knows him.
These fears. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
By astral projection, our battle mother and our undying father take charge. For our primarch, our matriarch, oh no, it's a female primarch, for she bears the sons and daughters of Cayman. For whoever kills a son and daughter will feel the mother's scorn. None shall stand in her way. For like a caring hand, she'll reprimand those who have wronged the family. In doing so, by holy light and divine prayer, they will repent for their transgressions. End quote. So this ship, capital ship, completely surpasses the Phalanx. The Phalanx is the largest ship in the Imperium ever created.
Mhm.
It's the size of a moon, basically. This one surpasses it. Similar to two holy terras, so two Earths put together. Recorded when recorded firepower. When the full might of this planet opens up, it will push the ship 8.5 kilometers back from just the firepower if all guns are bare.
Hey, man.
There are there are many rotating void shields to protect the ship.
Mhm.
They have macro cannon batteries, blast turrets, a crap ton of torpedoes.
Mhm.
I do apologize for not getting too specific on what a Phalanx has.
That's all right. They're
All seriousness,
one of the largest ships the Space Marines own, so. Not small.
And I tried to do my due diligence and try to find what armaments would have on this battleship, and people were very vague about it. So just imagine a lot of firepower, a lot, well, maybe too much, but it is a gigantic spaceship that can hold my entire fleet and rebuild them and build like it's a gigantic world on the spaceship. Some of the Primarchs actually live on the spaceship and build other Space Marines of that chapter. But getting back to it before I'm nearly done. I do apologize. So in the middle, the two main guns are two God Emperor cannons. Both fire in tandem, so one after the other. The first round fired hits the planet and wipes out any and all shields and vaporizes all life forms on said planet with cleansing light. The second round fired impacts the planet's crust and rather quickly drills to the core and implodes it, turning the said condemned planet to space dust. If there's any moons in the way, stress not, for this ship launches tethers and pulls the moon towards the ship. The tethers will release, hurtling the moon towards the planet like a bowling ball towards pins. And then boom, and then proceeds to blow up the moon and the planet as well. And that is the conclusion of my armada.
Well, I will say that your armada seems to be a very bang for your buck kind of armada.
Hey, about that guy. There's a guy in a fishbowl or anything like that.
What was that?
No, I had no idea that one of my people was playing an undead army, or another person was playing all robotic army. Oh no! Oh,
I feel like he didn't target me on purpose.
I like you. I like you all though.
So that's
I do this all.
Have a conversation later, Jug.
That's the end of the live stream, I believe. Right? We're all done.
Kyle.
Yes.
Yeah, you have your army. The Void Boys.
The
Void Boys have to do their army.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. My armies are not as impressive as yours. So.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You're a very
Oh,
humble man, though.
This tiny drop of liquid in ocean. Yeah, so I represent the Voidborn, the individuals that are trapped within the void. We started off as being a bunch of people that were tricked into helping out those called the Watchers who were within the void, and to this date, we are still the people who helped the Watchers who tricked us into helping the void. So, we'll start off with my main battleship, my capital ship, if you will, my big but not nearly as big as Juggernaut, Necro, or K-Man's main battleship, because damn, you guys got me dwarfed. I have mine is called the Voidborn Battleship, the simple name. A massive blend of Voidborn metal and Silverhand know-how. The Voidborn Hellcourse class battleship is what it's called. It's a large dual-pronged battle vessel that comes armed with a set of particularly strong weapons of war, possessing the Sub-Zero mass weapon on its right prong, used to freeze enemy vessels and crush their armor. And on the left prong, it is armed with a Raiden electromagnetic cannon, capable of frying, shutting down, or magnetizing vessels to screw with their internal radars and weaponry, if it doesn't just rip them to shreds at first. And finally, the rear and central areas of the ship run a Chapel of Trinity and a drone creation lab, respectively. The chapel sings out courses of inspiration to help boost the performance of the vessel, while the drones can attack, defend, or even repair it. Then we have the second battleship, which is the Sisterhood Ark. The main battleship of the Sisterhood comes in 3 variants. However, all of them are built to run similarly, tending to house several squads of sisters and several vehicles. The Ark battle cruisers only differ with combat strength. The 3 that I have here, of course, are the Void Gaze battleship, which is a holy silver in color. These powerful cruisers fight with massive solar array cannons, shield generators, drone generators, and their dark light main cannon. A weapon that somehow fires out a beam of concentrated darkness so black that it seems to shake and stutter light. Those struck say they feel nothing and have trouble recovering from it, while living metals just seem to phase out of existence as if they're being erased. Bye, Necro. I guess you'll come back. The Void's voice battleship.
Just shutting down my battery.
Okay. The Void's voice battleship. In space, no one can hear you scream, or so you would think. The Void's voice battlecruiser specializes in the spread and constant reverberation of their prayers and curses, hacking into enemy intercoms and letting the voices be the weapons. More useful and a powerful command unit or a massive hospital, their massive sonar weapons can still wreak havoc with enemy ships, causing white noise gaps, ghost sounds, irritation, etc., to drive enemy vessels into a chaotic frenzy of paranoia and confusion. And the Void's Gale battleship, which is the smallest model of the Ark-class battlecruisers. The Void's Gale is quite frankly a massive warp point, able to leap from around the battlefield, send units from one section of space to another, and summon Watcher units into enemy ships, or even summon by cybernetic initiative ships to aid it in combat. Beware, as the Void can capture enemy units and send them careening into others. While unarmed as it may appear, powerful Slakers on board can rend enemy ships with Void Lightning and Void Explosions caused by their psionic amplification device found on board. We'll then move into the cruisers. These are smaller than the battleships, but still relatively destructive. We have the Silverhand mech cruiser. It has a bit of a story, so I apologize for the story. But within the Void Nebula, there are seemingly endless Tyranid vessels drawn and quartered by the Void itself. However, amongst them are strange hybrids of silver, living metal, Void energy, and Tau equipment to form the Cyber Initiative Void Bioships, or Cyber Initiative for short. Amongst them, the Silverhand Mind Wreck cruiser reigns supreme. These massive ships are armed with psionic generators that specialize in giving off special attacks that cause crippling paranoia, terrifying hallucinations, and smothering psychocosmatic energy to the enemy crews of any ship they are near. Combined with a forward-aimed Gauss cannon, twin ion cannons, and a massive deflector shield, the Silverhand Mind Wreck cruiser can easily wreak havoc on enemies. True terror is that these ships have legions of Watcher-possessed psychic warrior drones on board, ready to invade enemy vessels or repel intruders. Those of you who are wondering what those are, they're the dead, decaying shells of the Tyranids that were on board of the ships that are all warrior class, psychic warrior class, I believe. Yes, and they've been possessed temporarily by Watchers. The advantage to that is that it gives me a Tyranid presence. The negative is that they are not combined with a hive mind, so each one of them acts as an individual, which can be both a plus and a minus. The Silverhand Invasion Cruiser, another crazed idea from the combined minds of the Watchers of Silverhands. The Invasion Cruiser is armed with pyro-acid batteries, launching toxins and pyro-acids into enemy hulls. However, they're called invasions for a reason, as these bile acids hold a secret, as many possessed Tyranid creatures suddenly rush from these pools of acid to cause havoc on the ship or even its destruction. All while the ship attacks and defends with its set with 3 sets of magnetically launched missiles and 2 heavy railguns. My final cruiser is the Silverhand Swarm Cruiser, one of the strongest of Voidborn vessels and the most terrifying to battle. The Swarm Cruiser is deadly in extended combat and possesses both regenerating living metal and regenerating biomass as its armor. While it may be slow-moving, its strength lies in the ability to outnumber an entire enemy fleet by itself, able to produce Watcher-possessed Harpy Tyranids, Tau defense drones, Tau repair drones, Watcher-possessed psychic warriors, and is armed with a psionically controlled Ether Swarming Brood. Single cruisers can swarm the area with enough units to make even the orcs turn and wish they could run. Then we have attack crafts. The Basilisk is a strong twin-winged attack craft. It is a fast-moving stealth ship that thrives on surprise and speed. It's armed with several repeating Tesla cannons. The Silverhand Escort also specializes in striking terror with the ability to create an array of blink bat drones. There's speedy drones that have Gauss rifles and vampire drones that can drain enemy shields and electricity when close with their vorpal claws.
Ooh.
The Silverhand Wall, known as the Phalanx Assault Vessel. This wall is known for its it's known as the never yielding vessel. by the Voidboard faction. While AI controlled, it consists of thick armor, defensive shields, living metal repairing armor, and several multi-purpose magnetic launching missile launchers. These large square-shaped AI ships can use magnetic energy to attach to each other to increase their overall size and protect those behind them, while using void portals to allow allies to fire through them instead of at them. So basically, they form up into big walls and create portals behind them that you can shoot through, and that'll shoot at the enemy ships. And the Silverhand Mirage, stealth units designed to keep other units unseen thanks to their advanced cloaking generator. It covers a rather large area. They are armed with railguns and mine deployers. These mines happen to be special as they also have stealth generators within them. Mirage can cover an area in unseen danger long before the enemy can see what's behind their cloak. And because I seem to be the only one who chose this, I've also created two other left. My last two are space stations and space fortresses. The first is the United Tau Orbital Station. These are heavily armed stations found amongst the planets of the Void, created by our Tau allies. They are part way station, part security station, and often protected by several Silverhand swarm cruisers. These massive space forts are often one of the last things an invading army sees. One moment, guys. One moment.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's your mother. Shush, Cody. Shush, my mother, baby.
I do have to say, a lot of these armies we've all created are very, very scary and deadly.
My apologies.
Oh, without a doubt.
My apologies, everyone. They have the ability to create temporary warp gates to summon in help whenever they're needed. They're armed with a powerful living steel hull, rapid-firing Gauss cannons, and are usually under watch of several dozen dangerous vessels. Created by the Tau and the Silverhand together, these massive way stations are often seen as beacons of hope to some and threatening weapons to others. And last but not least, my final vehicle before we end all this, because I see a very sleepy dog in the background. We have the Sisterhood Void Cathedrals.
Ooh.
These are deadly powerful space fortresses used to train the Sisters of Battle and defend the Void's most vulnerable locations. To date, only 3 such cathedrals exist, along with a much larger fourth that hovers near LZ-016A, the main planet of the Void. The strangest of these cathedrals is the massive amount of Sisters of Battle that are under each cathedral's tutelage. To quote Helsing himself, there is no way we had that many sisters join our cause, let alone the fact that they look so similar to one another. The reasons for this are a hushed secret, with many murmurs along allies, both internal and external. Some believe the cathedrals are cloning facilities, some claim the Void is making them, and some even claim the Silverhand has a card in the stable. However, the reason these massive cathedrals are armed with several heavy Gauss cannons, communication hackers for spreading their word, void portal generators, and a massive relay laser cannon. So these are basically floating cathedral, massive fortresses where we train our Sisters of the Trinity. But nobody knows why we have so many Sisters of the Trinity. When just a story time, I can have a story time. One story time real quick. When we crash landed on the main ship, the main planet of the Void, we had 31 sisters left. When the event that happened after we created when we agreed with the Watchers to join them, we all passed out. Things went wibbly wobbly, timing effects, and we had hundreds and thousands of sisters. Some looked like past sisters, some looked like fallen sisters, some looked identical to each other, and we couldn't figure out where they were coming from because, to our knowledge, no one had entered the area. We had no reports on ships entering, we had no reports on ships leaving, and the number of the Watchers, who are, of course, the symbiotic aliens, has not risen or fallen to mean that these people were, agreeing with them and brought on. But yet they're very effective combatants, very wise, very spiritual, very sonically linked. Yep. What's up, Juggernaut?
What do you mean?
Did you say yep? That's why I just heard someone say yep. So the big story is, one, why are the Voidborn, basically, why are we trapped here? Two, why are the symbiotes able to connect to other beings, not just humans, but they can also connect to orcs, which they have in the past, Tau, etc. But where are all these sisters coming from, and why do they sound and act like their groups have been around for generations? Some even speak of fallen progenitors who have taught them, and even stated that certain people have trained them in combat, whom are no longer amongst the living. Basically, there's the Voidborn, there's the other aliens, there's the Watchers, and then there's the Sisters, and none of us know where they came from. So there's my story time. And speaking of story time, that is the end of our current Chronicle of Warhammer.
No, no.
Allow me to explain Warhammer 40k. However, a few things to note. First of all, me and Kmod have spoken about wanting to do some lore and story time and all that kind of stuff, so we might have some videos later on about those. If you're interested in them, please send a message. Say, hey, I'd like to hear some of that. If we missed anything when it came to designing these vehicles or factions or whatever you feel we missed, please. The only one of us who has any actual knowledge of this game is Kmod. And even though I have some knowledge, it's not the greatest. So if you want to hear more about our units or more about our stories, backgrounds, etc., feel free to ask. We will be taking at least 1 week off next Tuesday from this to kind of prepare ourselves for the D&D doldrums that are going to hit, where we're going to create our own D&D characters. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Aren't we all happy about this, guys?
No.
We might
I got a Warhammer.
we might have I have a Warhammer. We might take a few more days. We might take a week or two off. But hopefully you enjoyed our vehicles. I want to ask, so all these seem to have overpowered abilities, etc. What are the weaknesses? Nothing in any universe is one-sided, so there needs to be balance. That's actually a really well put form there, Michelle. So first of all, the Warhammer 40k universe is massive. There are thousands of races, thousands of powerful units. So we all have our pluses and minuses. While Necro is basically a plague spreader, his units are exceptionally weak to fire and explosives. They can basically outright kill his units off without a second chance. Juggernaut's robotics are robotics, so they're more vulnerable towards electrical attacks, EMPs, etc. Not completely, like that. They won't shut him down, but they'll hurt him pretty good. Kmod is a standard Space Marine per se. I use the term per se.
Yeah.
But even though they're very powerful, there are very strong units in the world of Warhammer that are just unbelievably terrifyingly strong. Like I know I say that like my group is the weakest, and a lot of people are like, no, pipe up, Shero, smile, and wave. Some of these things that I have read about and some of these things that I've seen would just stomp the shite out of us. I mean, just passing that one on. The Voidborn, our biggest weakness is the fact that we cannot spread far from the void, or we will vanish and reappear in the void, so we don't have a lot of reach. Necro needs to be able to feed on life in order to create his units, so there are dozens and dozens and dozens of dead planets between him and one living planet. So it catches up over time with him. Juggernaut, he kind of is trying to stop all these races from fighting each other in a vain attempt to stop this major event from happening. And just to be honest with you, from what I've read, not a lot of people want to side with him. He's a robot, so there goes the Space Marines and the Astrades and everything like that. No offense, Joe, no offense, but like, and Kmod has been lost in time for countless years, and he existed before the Warhammer events happened. So to him, he's kind of running around with antiquated equipment in a universe full of much stronger beings. Are our units overpowered? Well, to be honest, the only one of us I consider to be truly an overpowered unit is Necro, because he's basically one of the chaos gods. I put my fingers up like this because I've read that they're not just gods of chaos, but they're gods of other things too. They're so what we feel is an evil god, like Nurgle is an evil god. He's actually neutral. Yes, he's about death and decay and all that, but he's also about life and preservation and healing. So like each of these gods is one part negative, one part positive, and they're kind of put together. So it actually kind of changes the idea that he's not a chaos god, but he's more one of the chaos princes. You know, he's evil until he finds his purpose. Juggernaut's purpose is basically, hey, something bad's about to happen. The universe is going to collapse. You guys got to listen to us. We know what we're saying. And a lot of the things that are in this universe won't listen to him, which will unendingly end up with him having to...
There are beings that'll pretty much say to me, fuck you.
Yes.
Well, as a human, I would say, or part of the Imperium Man. Okay, I'll literally say Imperium Man. Yes, you can say, "Hey, you need to stop listening to me," but we're fractionally misguided in such a way that information gets redacted, and we don't know the full picture. We only get snippets of it, and people are misguided, and they firmly believe the misguided parts. They don't see the full picture. Yes, peace can be established in the universe, but it's like you get one person with a big enough army, like, I'm in charge, and that goes for any entity in the Warhammer lore.
In all the 40k lore... Like, oh, sorry. Keep going.
I was just about to say, like, it's amazing and scary at the same time. Like, I'm outside in another universe, dimension, I should say. But I'm so far from what's actually going on. So I believe I'm doing the right thing and protecting people that need to be protected and fight people who need to be fought. But I don't see the grand picture. So, Juggernaut Jared can come to me and say, "Hey, you need to stop fighting." Well, I can tell him, like, why? I'm doing what I was born to do. Like, that's what I need to do. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents of the matter.
And then I'd look at you and go, and you wonder why there aren't as many of you as there were before?
Right.
And then Urgo comes out of nowhere, like, "Ooh, come with me, friend."
While our ships are powerful, I am almost 100% sure that if I were to take somebody who was a Warhammer fan and say, hey, these are the vehicles I made, these are the infantry I made, this is the spaceships I've made, I'm pretty sure they could take one look at it and go, well, your first problem is these things are too small, or these weapons won't work on this, or this power won't work, or this won't do this, or this could kill this by doing this. Like, Warhammer is more based on the tabletop game itself, which is things like special abilities and command points and capture the flag. And I mean, I know I'm doling it down, I'm making it sound simple, but that's the rough idea behind the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even, like I said, like even a single soldier, even a rifleman can be a rifleman, or you can paint him to have a machine gun, you can give him a rifle, a rocket launcher, a sword, a pistol, a flamethrower. There are so many variables that we have thrown our hats into this massive ring. And in this massive ring, everybody wants to be right. And nobody wants to be wrong. True. And it's up to those groups. You're saying it?
Those. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
You're
connection
saying,
with my.
Go pitch in. I'm gonna hear.
Oh, sorry. No, it's my Wi-Fi is going in and out, so it kind of choppy. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll make this quick.
Plot twist. I was sent back to because I was the one who was the start of the war.
Well, that would
the event.
Hey.
That would suck. That would be the worst thing ever. Juggernaut turns out to be the reason this all happens. And while we are powerful sounding per se, so it seems there would be no real war, as each and every faction will eliminate each other, being no need and having the ability to restore peace and strike fear, thus preventing the end. That is actually correct, Michelle. That's actually what I believe would be the end game, where every race would eventually kill off every other race. So our existence is finite in this universe. Just like the Tau believe in the greater good, they are a very young race. The Eldar are far older, the Dark Eldar are far older. But in this universe where there's, and I'm going to be gentle with this, I'm sure there are some fans of orcs who know better than I do. Sentient mushrooms that reproduce by budding and putting spores that go from tiny microscopic funguses to 9 to 10 to 11 foot tall hulking masses of muscle with axes and guns and the power of imagination makes everything work.
Mm-hmm.
We have a group called the Tyrannid, which are just giant space bugs. Once again, I'm dumbing it down, who have the ability to eat people and things and then grow stronger with it. And we have a group of living skeletons made of metal called the Necrons, who have the ability to basically crush warp with their fingers. It's a bad place to be. But this game has been around for so many years that people have made it work. Don't ask me how it works. I won third in the tournament one time by literally hiding in the bushes. TMOG here has far more knowledge than I do. And we threw this together for the fun of it. We threw it together for the ideas. Just an idea. I mean, do these mean anything? Do our units truly mean anything in the grand scheme of things? I like to think they do. But when you're in a universe where there are creatures that can quite literally push a button and fold space in on itself and smash you with it, I mean, overpowered is how you have to be in this universe to make it run. Yeah. And I swear to you, what's written and what's in the actual game are two different things. Because what's written is these terrifying, overpowered units that just obliterate everything, and what's actually in the game are, well, I'm going to take this post, I'm going to hold it for 6 rounds. And I'm armed with the Doomslayer weapon from Legacy. You know, it's from the storyboards. They got the Doomslayer, massive big gun. And when it comes to the tabletop, it goes pew pew. Your turn is over, and some little girl with a rock throws a rock and kills you. You know, it's just the idea of Warhammer is quite confusing. I love it personally because it is so convoluted. Every race believes they're right. Every race is out there trying to be right. Every race believes that they can only win by killing every other race. And in the end, what I believe, and what Mr. Shell here believes, is that they'll just kill each other and then space will be peaceful. And I personally do believe that. You know, I specifically made my units with a shut-off button. The void can grow finitely. It's not infinite, it's a finite void. And the Necrons have the ability to just push a button and shut it down for another 10,000 years or so. I'm done. I'm gone. I can't chase you down because once you get out of range of my void area, then I'm on a timer. Necro has the ability to possess and take over living bodies. That's actually a terrifying ability. But the idea of that has actually existed in Warhammer long before Necro existed. And it's a scary effect. But because of how far planets with life are actually spread, it's a much slower effect than we make it out to be. Juggernaut's group comes from another area of space. And it took them this long to get here to try and stop a major event from happening. Did they make it? Did the event already happen? Or will they stop it? We can't tell. Nobody will pay attention to him. And he's going to have to start doing some wibbly-wobbly things with his time machines. And Kmod is one of the Lost Primarchs, which are these big guys, no offense, I'm dumbing it down again, who are the original born of the space god, also known as the Space Emperor. And there is no good in this universe. There are no good guys.
No.
Tau. The Tau are the closest thing to good guys.
Yeah.
The Space Marines might as well just be Nazis. The Orcs might as well just be Genghis Khan. I mean, just to throw it out there. So what we did is we did our best to create our units from this mixed ideal of this universe, which could just come crashing in on itself at any moment.
That's true.
What?
Quick example.
Okay.
A lot of units have las rifles. Basically, they're laser rifles.
Mm-hmm.
And in books and like concept, they're supposed to be the best rifle a normal person like you or I can pick up and use.
Mhm.
With enough of them, they can take down a Tyranid swarm or whatever standing in their way.
Right.
On the tabletop, they are the weakest weapon you can use. They're supposed to be like the best, like mass produced weapon known to man, and anyone can use them. And they're supposed to be really powerful and punch through armor with enough shots. But on the tabletop, in a group of them, like no, you do like 1 point of damage.
Another good example is the bolter. It's a pistol,
Yep.
and if I'm remembering correctly, I'm gonna try. It fires a round that is basically a rocket-propelled grenade that fires forward, and when it detects the target it's going to hit, it then detonates. These things are supposed to wipe out everything, and yet there are units that can take hundreds of them. It's like firing rapid-fire grenades. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't happen, but it works in the Warhammer universe. My primest example, though, and I think we'll try to deal with this one is there's a group called the Orcs, or Sentient Fungus. And the Orcs fight with the power of imagination. What I mean by this is one Orc said to another Orc, hey, if I paint this vehicle red, I bet you it drives faster. And through the power of their imagination, the vehicle drove faster. So another guy said, well, if I paint red flames on the side, I bet you mine goes faster than that. And his did indeed go faster. And one guy said, I'm going to put lightning bolts on mine. And his car literally vanished and reappeared like a strike of lightning. This universe is basically effed in the greatest way possible. So as far as good guys go, with the exception of the Chronos Watchers, Chronos Keepers, aka Juggernauts group, and the Tau, there really isn't good guys. You're at best neutral. You're at best neutral in this universe, and you're still gonna end up dying.
Maybe chaotic good to a degree.
I mean,
maybe?
yeah, I guess I could see some chaotic good. And that's the real story of it is just everyone except for the Tau and Juggernaut. I'm going to use Juggernaut as another example. The Tau and the Juggernaut here, my Juggernaut Jared over here, I think he's way over on the other side of Necro, are the only two groups that are trying to do anything to try and save and bring peace to the galaxy. And that being said, Necro's group is spreading peace and tranquility by killing everybody and turning them into undead zombies. TMOG wants to find his way back to the God Emperor. Bad news, God Emperor is dead right now.
Lawrence in charge.
Yep.
Not Rogodon. Rabute Gilman.
Yeah, Gilman's in charge. And I'm stuck in this small void, and I'm trying to prevent its growth. I'm neutral at best. Kmod and Necro would be chaotic something at best. Juggernaut's neutral is a good or a neutral good, and the Tower is just goody two shoes, goody two shoes. We have a lot of sniper units.
So I do have one question for Kaiju and his universe or army.
Yes.
When you are back in the void. Yes. And a new spaceship comes in. Let's say you were in battle and you died. You come back to the warp. Do you still remember what transpired, or is it like a new, fresh memory? Like wake up.
We have full knowledge of what we're allowed to know. Basically, what happens, how it's explained to us, is that when we die, our soul and our mind are taken by the watcher that we're linked to, the symbiote, and that one will go through our minds and try to take out things like this hurts and everything like that, so we don't feel the pain when we come back. And if they see anything that could cause harm to us or affect us or change us in some way, they remove that as well. So basically, you are a soldier who never has to worry about things like shell shock, depression. Basically, I won't lie, they are a group that was designed to what I would think would be a very peaceful existence. What would I do if I didn't have extreme depression disorder? What would I be like if I didn't have shell shock. What would I be like if I didn't worry about every person and everything that happened? What would happen if I stopped looking at people and immediately started looking for ways that I could take them down in case they went violent towards me? You know, these are things that I live with on a daily basis. One story is that my friend Haley, she ran up behind me to give me a hug while I was sitting on the floor, and when she wrapped her arms around my neck, I flashed and I grabbed her, and I remember flinging her over my shoulder and bringing my fist back to strike her in the throat, and I stopped myself, but it happened so quickly that there was nothing for me to do about it. So when these guys go through the void, they basically remove things like that from them. But if there was somebody who was explaining to them how to stop the void or kill off the symbiotes or something like that, they also erase that. They're very selective of what we're allowed to know.
If you're in a battle with me, like I'm attacking you,
right,
and you're on a ship or battalion, and your battalion gets wiped out or your ship gets wiped out,
yes,
since it's back to the void,
yes,
you would still know that you're still fighting in a battle with me, or would you have to be sent back into the void and then like, oh, okay?
I would know that I was fighting you, and I would know that my life was ended. However, things like how I felt when my life ended, or, you know, what was the big trigger that killed me, like was it a blade through my throat or something like that, I won't remember any of that. But I will no longer be in the battle. Okay. I will be basically waking up going, oh crap, what happened? Okay, I'm safe on base. However, this also means that we can learn a lot. But we're trapped. We can never kill ourselves. We can never die. Because the symbiotes will not allow that. In short, we're trapped there until the symbiotes feel that they can free us. And the symbiotes may or may not be truthful for that. We don't know. So for me, every battle is a learning lesson, but sometimes I feel that I'm not being taught what I should know. In one of the stories I was writing up was I met up with a Necron who was explaining to me that he knew where a device was that could stop all this from happening and let us have peace. You might know him as the Mad Necron himself, the Mad Explorer, the Mad Scientist. And then he killed me because he wanted to see what would happen. And my body basically disappeared, and he thought it was very funny that it happened. And then he marked down in his notes that it was the 4th time he had that conversation with me. The 4th time he killed me, and each time I didn't know what he was talking to me about. Like I didn't learn that. They took it from me. And he believes that this is a very good scientific discovery because he could use this to his advantage. That being said, though, I am as strong as a standard human being would be capable of being. So,
well, I don't know. Maybe the powers that be that bind and control you, they could make you as powerful as a god if needed to be.
It wouldn't be the first time a symbiote has attacked somebody in my regard, but the armor I wear and the weapons I use are from the old world, and I can never be stronger than I am without things like conditioning and genetic research and everything like that, which is completely banned, by the way, throughout the galaxy. And basically, I am a prisoner of the people I was trying to save. And they still want me to save them, and they still need me to save them, but they want to do it in a way where I can't turn on them or use my knowledge against them or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So if you appear on deck and grab me and smash me in the head with a frying pan and I'm dead, I'll remember you being on deck, I'll remember you grabbing me, I'll remember you cocking back your arm, I'll remember you bringing it back, but I won't remember what emotion I was feeling at that time. I won't remember the impact or what happened to me afterwards. I won't remember being pulled from my body and whipped all the way across the universe back to the void. I won't remember any of that. Like I said, Necro is similar. If Necro dies as the Prince of Death, he'll be brought back at the star. Juggernaut over here is a bunch of robots, so I mean, if one dies, you can just put a bunch of Legos together and recreate another one. He has a never-ending swarm until he runs out of materials, obviously. I mean, Mama Bear in the storyline is a very powerful spacer as well, but her people are limited as well. I believe we all have limits placed on us. However, I will say that we sound like very powerful, overbearing beings. But if you want to hear what a powerful, overwhelming being is, just look up on YouTube how somebody can explain, say, the orcs or the necrons or the chaos marines. Listen to what they talk about, and you'll realize that, oh my goodness, with the exception of the K-Mag, we are drops in a bucket.
Yep. Now, here's a theoretical question I pose to you.
Okay.
If Necro were to come to the void, to your void, and remain long enough there to be attracted, would he revert back to his human self, or still be like an undead prince? Like, what would you think would happen?
That's a very, very wise question. To start off, how the void works is it slowly eats away at psionic energy. It's a quiet location. Most beings have a psionic link. If Necro were pulled into my realm for as long as it took, he would begin to fall apart mentally. Tzeentch would eventually lose contact with him. And maybe then Necro would realize, oh crap, I'm being used for some kind of huge scheme. Or maybe he would just fade away and reappear in the chaos. That is a hypothetical I added on purpose. Just like Juggernauts. Juggernauts angels could land on my land, no problem. They could chill out for a few days, no problem, and then they could leave, as if nothing happened. But if one of those angels lands on my land and refuses to leave after like 2 or 3 weeks, there will be a body of an angel. Just laying there. All 12 foot of them. Now, could they be brought back to life? I don't know. Maybe Juggernaut could bring them back to life. I don't know. All I know is that everyone can land on my property. The void doesn't take you, or it doesn't take you eventually, but it doesn't take you immediately. It stays. It just depends on how strongly your will is to the universe. Obviously, people who are extremely low-willed, I won't call them weak-willed, but extremely low-will, will enter the curse, as we call it, where if they try to leave the void, the screams of the outer world will deafen them because everyone's talking in the outer realms religiously. And then you'll be chosen to either stay with us and become another symbiote carrier, or you can go out in space and you'll eventually die. It's really a horrible situation. However, if anybody would like to know any more...
Well, the grand scheme of things, it kind of sounds kind of peaceful, actually.
Well, the point about the void is that since psionics don't work, you can't hear the God Emperor speaking anymore. Or you can't hear the good nature speaking. You can't hear your brothers in arms speaking. Orcs would actually become more intelligent. Tyranids are driven mad by it. They go critically crazy, and sometimes they even kill themselves and die. Because they're a psionic hive mind. After not being able to hear anything, they kind of just...
Yeah.
It is peaceful. Like I said, the void was based off of what I believe would be a peaceful existence. However, this is Warhammer 40k with the word war in it.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's always some underlying scheme or trick. Like I said, Necro may be the demon prince of death, but Tzeentch has his hand in it, and possibly Slanesh. We don't know. And Juggernaut flew here as fast as he could to prevent this event from happening, and little do we know, did he actually make it on time or not? We don't know. And who knows what horrors and hells you've actually escaped from by being off in another land.
Now, here's a question I pose for everybody.
Okay.
I do apologize for cutting you off. Yes, my story is that I was sent to another dimension. Was that Tzeentch doing, or another entity saying, you know what, I want to put this guy somewhere else for the time being. Let's see what's... Am I just a mere pawn in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I linked a video a little bit of when I went crazy with Juggernaut, who states that's a possibility, that Necro was being chased by you, and that Tzeentch separated you both.
Ah.
It would explain a lot.
I'm gonna definitely like check that video out.
Yep. If you have any questions you wish to ask, feel free to say in the comments below or shoot us a message. But until next time, for the moment, I am General Helsing, aka Kajuken.
I'm Necroneck, your undead conqueror.
I'm Juggernaut Jared.
The savior of the galaxy.
I am possibly or the destruction or Earl Grey's servant.
We will see you all in the future, everyone. Peace out, everybody, and cheers.